Mia was cleaning the basement. It was Saturday, and her husband, Ethan, had taken their dog for a walk. She had music playing softly, and everything felt peaceful until she saw the box. It was small, brown, and hidden behind a pile of old winter coats. She didn't remember putting it there, and Ethan was the kind of person who liked everything neat. Too neat. Curious, Mia pulled it out. It was heavier than it looked. She opened it. Inside were photos, but they weren't family photos. They were of women. Some were smiling. Some looked scared. One was the girl who went missing from their town last summer. Mia remembered seeing her face on flyers at the grocery store. There were dates written on the back of each photo. And then Mia saw something that made her freeze. A photo of herself, taken from outside the window. She was sleeping. It was night. Her hands started shaking. Why would Ethan have this? Suddenly, the lights flickered, and something on the wall caught her eye. It was a crack, like a door had been painted over. She stepped closer. Her heart was beating fast. She pressed her hand against the wall, and to her shock, it opened. Behind it was a narrow staircase, cold, dark, leading down. Mia didn't want to go, but something inside her whispered, "You have to know the truth." So she grabbed a flashlight and began to walk down. The air grew colder with every step Mia took. The flashlight flickered, her hand trembled. She gripped the railing, trying not to cry. The stairs led to a metal door. It was scratched, rusty, and had no handle, just a number pad. She stared at it, confused. Then she remembered Ethan's birthday, April 3rd, 1985. She typed 040385. Click. The door creaked open. What she saw inside made her legs feel weak. It was a small room, no windows. The walls were covered in folders, neatly stacked in rows. Each one had a name, a photo, a date. Some names she recognized, missing women from their town. Some from years ago, some just months. Her chest tightened. She picked up a folder marked, Claire M. 2014. Inside were notes, where Claire lived, what time she left work, the last dress she wore, and then a lock of her hair in a plastic bag. Mia dropped it and stepped back, breathing fast. Then she saw something worse, a table in the center of the room, and on it a folder with her name. MIA status, active, final stage pending. Her knees buckled. No, no, no. Inside were pictures of her at the park, at the store, asleep in bed. She flipped to the last page, a note in Ethan's handwriting. She trusts me completely. End it before she learns too much. Her heart shattered. Ethan, her husband, the man who made her pancakes on Sundays, who kissed her forehead and said, "I'll protect you forever." It was all a lie. Suddenly, a voice echoed behind her. Low, calm. "You weren't supposed to find this." She spun around, and there he stood. Ethan, smiling, but not like the man she thought she knew. Mia stumbled back, bumping into the cold metal table. Her hands clutched the folder with her name, her breath shaking. What is this, Ethan?" she whispered. Ethan stepped into the room slowly, his smile never reaching his eyes. "I always knew you were smart," he said gently, as if they were still talking in the kitchen. "But I really hoped you'd never come down here." Her eyes filled with tears. "Is it true, all of it?" Ethan looked at the shelves of folders, then back at her. "Yes." Mia's heart broke. "You promised to protect me." "I did protect you," he said. "For years I chose you." She stared at him like he was a stranger. "You chose me," she whispered. "What does that even mean?" Ethan sighed, as if explaining something simple to a child. "I watched them first, all of them. I studied them, but you were different. You were kind. You looked at me like I was real." Mia backed toward the door. "You killed them, all those women." Ethan's smile faded. "I freed them," he said darkly. "From lies, from their masks. Just like I freed myself. But you, I couldn't. I loved you." Mia's voice cracked. "Then why was my file marked final stage?" Ethan looked away. "Because love doesn't last, Mia. Eventually, the truth always ruins it. And I can't risk you ruining me." She gripped the flashlight tighter. "You don't get to decide who lives and who dies," she said firmly, her voice shaking but strong. Ethan stepped closer. "But I already have." Then Mia did something he didn't expect. She swung the flashlight hard, right into his jaw. He shouted in pain, falling back against the shelves. Folders flew everywhere. Mia ran up the stairs, heart pounding, tears blurring her vision. She didn't stop. Not when he shouted her name. Not when he begged her to talk. Not when she heard his footsteps chasing her. She burst into the daylight, gasping. The truth was out. Her husband was a monster, and now she had to stop him, before another woman vanished. Mia didn't stop running. She sprinted across the backyard, barefoot and shaking, straight to the neighbor's house. She pounded on the door, screaming, "Help, please, he's going to kill me." Mrs. Carter, a kind older woman who'd baked them cookies last Christmas, opened the door and gasped when she saw Mia's face, scratched, sweaty, pale with terror. Mia nearly collapsed in her arms. "Call the police now." By the time the police arrived, Ethan was gone. He had vanished, like the women in the folders, but this time he left something behind. Proof. Mia led the officers to the hidden room. She showed them the files, the photos, the lock of hair, the folder with her name. They brought dogs, detectives, even the FBI. And the town, it was never the same again. News spread fast. 12 women gone for years, all with families who never gave up hope. Now, thanks to Mia, they had answers. Mia stayed with her sister for a while. She couldn't sleep at night. Sometimes she thought she saw Ethan's face in crowds, in windows, in dreams. But she stayed strong. She told her story. She testified in court. She held the mothers of the missing women. She became a voice for those who had been silenced. They never found Ethan. Not yet, but Mia lives differently now. Locks on every door, cameras in every room, and a message pinned to her wall that she reads every morning. "He promised to protect me, but I survived by protecting myself." Mia tried to build a new life, but the fear never really left. Every creak in the floor, every knock at the door, every unknown number that called her phone, it all made her jump. The FBI told her they believed Ethan was using a new name now. They said men like him didn't stop, they just hid better. And deep down, Mia knew he was still watching. One cold autumn morning, 3 months after the raid, Mia received a package. There was no return address. It was small, wrapped in brown paper. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a single item. Her wedding ring, the one she threw into the lake the night she ran. She gasped, her heart dropped. Under the ring was a note, typed, not handwritten. "You were always the one who saw me clearly. I miss that." No name, no location, just those words. Mia dropped the box and backed away. He knew where she was. He knew she was watching the news, helping the police, speaking out. And now he was reminding her. He hadn't forgotten her either. Later that night, Mia sat at her desk. She opened her laptop and clicked on a folder she'd been building in secret, labeled Unfinished Files. She had been digging on her own, quietly searching for patterns, faces, whispers of Ethan's old identity in other towns, women who had gone missing under similar circumstances. There were 3, all recent, all too familiar, and all in a small town just 2 hours away. Mia stared at the screen, her jaw tightened. She had survived him once, but what if she was the only one who could stop him now? Slowly, she packed her things. Not to run, but to hunt. Mia drove through the night. The town was called Raven's Cross. Small, quiet, surrounded by woods. The kind of place people went to hide or disappear. She checked into a cheap motel using a fake name. Her room smelled like dust and old flowers. But she didn't care. She unpacked her laptop, pinned maps to the wall, and opened the files of the 3 missing women. Each had vanished within the last 6 months. All had one thing in common. They had been dating someone new. Someone with no social media, no family, no past. Mia stared at a photo of the most recent girl, Tessa King. Blonde, 24, bright smile, missing for 2 weeks. Tessa's friend told police she had been dating a man named Eric. Tall, dark hair, quiet voice. Mia's stomach turned. Ethan used to go by Eric when they first met. She closed her eyes, remembering the first time she heard him say, "I'll keep you safe." It wasn't a promise, it was a trap. The next day, she visited the small cafe where Tessa used to work. She sat at the corner table, sipping tea, listening. Then she heard it. A voice, deep, calm, too familiar. Her eyes snapped up. He was sitting just a few feet away, laughing, smiling. Ethan, but he looked different now. New haircut, new glasses, a light scar hidden under his collar. He was talking to another girl, young, pretty, just like the others. Mia's blood boiled. She waited, watched, followed. He left the cafe and walked toward the woods behind town. The girl waved and said, "See you tonight." Mia followed him from a distance, heart pounding with every step. He didn't look back once. Then he disappeared behind a group of trees. She crept closer, careful not to snap a branch. And then she saw it, a small hidden cabin, old and crooked, almost invisible through the trees. She pulled out her phone. No signal, but she didn't turn back. She had found him. Now she had to find proof, and pray she wasn't already too late. Mia crouched low behind a tree, heart racing like thunder in her chest. The cabin was silent. No smoke from the chimney, no lights in the window. But her gut screamed he was inside. She waited, watching. 20 minutes passed, then 30, still nothing. Her fingers itched to act. She couldn't risk him slipping away again. And if he had Tessa or anyone else, inside every second mattered. She crept closer, one slow step at a time. The porch creaked under her weight. She held her breath and pressed her ear to the door. Silence, then a faint sound, a soft cry muffled. Mia's blood went cold. Someone was in there. She reached into her bag and pulled out the small pocket knife she'd started carrying. It felt useless, but it was better than nothing. The doorknob was old, rusted, unlocked. With trembling fingers, she turned it and pushed the door open. The smell hit her first, damp wood, metal, and something sour like old sweat and fear. The cabin was dim, lit by a small lamp in the corner. A chair, a table, a kettle still warm. And then the door to the basement. She stepped inside. The floor groaned beneath her feet. Each step felt like walking into a nightmare she'd already lived. At the basement door, she hesitated. Do it, her mind whispered. She could be alive, she needs you. Mia opened it. The stairs were steep and narrow. She climbed down slowly, her flashlight barely piercing the dark. Then she heard it again. A voice, very faint. Help. Mia's breath caught. Tessa, she called softly. The voice gasped, who's there? Mia rushed forward. In the far corner of the basement, behind a curtain was a small cage. Inside, huddled and pale, was Tessa. Her wrists were tied, her lips were cracked, but she was alive. Oh my God, Mia whispered, rushing to her. I'm going to get you out. Tessa's eyes filled with tears. He said no one would ever find me. Mia was working on the ropes when a board creaked above them. Then another's. Footsteps. He was back. Mia grabbed the flashlight and the pocket knife. Her hands shook. Ethan's voice came from the top of the stairs. Calm, cold. You really never could leave things alone. Could you, Mia? Mia stood in front of Tessa, shielding her with her body. She pointed the flashlight at the stairs, gripping the pocket knife with both hands. Ethan's shadow stretched down the wall as he stepped onto the top stair. You're making this worse than it has to be. He said calmly, let the girl go. Walk away. I'll disappear again. You'll never hear from me. Mia's voice cracked with fury. I believed you. I trusted you. And now you want to bargain like none of this happened. Ethan sighed. I didn't want it to end this way. Mia backed up a step, still facing the stairs. It already ended, Ethan. The night I found that room under our house. Tessa whimpered behind her. Please, don't let him take me. I won't, Mia whispered. Then she turned to Ethan and shouted. The police are on their way. Silence. Then Ethan chuckled. You're bluffing. I'm not, Mia snapped. I sent my location. I have proof, folders, names, photos, you're done. Ethan's smile faltered. Mia saw something change in his eyes, panic for the first time. You don't understand, he growled. I saved them, all of them, from this ugly world. I gave them peace. And you stole their lives, Mia said. I gave them meaning, he shouted. Suddenly, he lunged down the stairs. Mia moved fast. She slashed the knife forward, catching his shoulder. He cried out in pain and stumbled. She pushed him hard, and he fell back against the wall. Tessa screamed. Mia turned, yanked the cage door open, and pulled her out. Run, she yelled. They scrambled up the stairs together, Ethan close behind. Just as they reached the front door, flashing lights filled the windows. Sirens. Police. Ethan froze. Mia turned, breathless, blood on her hands. It's over. But Ethan didn't run, he just stared at her. And for a moment, the man she once loved came back into his eyes. Then he whispered, You never really knew me at all. Officers burst through the door. Ethan didn't resist. That night, as Tessa was taken to safety, and Mia sat wrapped in a blanket outside the cabin, one of the officers handed her a notebook they'd found. It was Ethan's journal. She opened it. Page after page of names, drawings, thoughts, and one sentence circled at the very end. The one I loved most was the one who unmade me. Mia closed the book, eyes full of tears. She had destroyed the monster, but she had also buried the last piece of a man she once loved. Weeks passed. Raven's Cross slowly returned to normal, but Mia didn't. She couldn't. The faces of the missing women haunted her sleep. Sometimes she heard their whispers in the dark, soft and sorrowful. Other times, she dreamed of Ethan's voice, the real Ethan, not the killer. The town called her a hero. They said she saved Tessa, that she brought light to a darkness no one wanted to believe existed. But deep inside, Mia still felt hollow, because the truth was, she hadn't just survived a monster. She had loved one. One rainy evening, Mia returned to the cabin. It was still sealed off by yellow tape, but something inside pulled her back. She stood there in the mist and silence, staring at the rotting wood and broken window. And then she saw something. A note tucked under a stone near the porch. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up. It was written in Ethan's handwriting. I told you once I'd protect you, I never said from what. Goodbye, Mia. If they let me speak in court, I won't. You deserve peace. You won't, and I never existed the way you believed. There was no signature, just that twisted, final goodbye. Mia closed her eyes and held the paper to her chest. He was gone now, truly. The court case was beginning soon. He had pleaded guilty to everything. No trial, no more secrets. And yet the pain lingered. Back home, Mia packed away the folders and files into a locked chest. Not to forget, but to honor the women who had never gotten the chance to fight back. And every night, before she turned out the light, she whispered, "You were seen, you were heard, and you were never alone." She started something new, a group for survivors. A place to tell stories, a place to find strength again. The darkness hadn't taken her. It only made her fire brighter. And though the world still held monsters, Mia had become the kind of woman who hunted them. Spring arrived slowly in Raven's Cross. Birds returned to the trees. The town planted flowers in the park again. The cafe where Ethan once sat reopened under new owners. And laughter, cautious but healing, found its way back into the streets. Mia walked through town with the quiet confidence of someone who had seen the very worst of a person she once loved, and survived it. People nodded at her with respect, some with sympathy. But Mia didn't need pity. She had turned grief into purpose. She had taken a secret room filled with horror, and turned it into a voice for the voiceless. Tessa, now recovering and growing stronger every day, had become like a sister to her, and together they launched a foundation in honor of the 12 women who never came home. Each one now had a name, a story, a candle that would never go out. And as for Mia, she still carried scars, some on her hands, most on her heart. But she also carried truth, and fire, and an unshakable promise. No one else will be forgotten, not on my watch. She locked her door that night, sat at her desk, lit a candle, and with a steady hand, began writing the book she once feared to start. The title, He Promised to Protect Me, but I protected everyone he tried to erase. And for the first time in a very, very long time, she felt free,